Hey everyone, welcome to the premiere episode of the Montyverse Presents, and today we're talking WandaVision. WandaVision, the MCU's first new piece of content since July of 2019. Crazy, right? After an updated Marvel fanfare that includes clips from Endgame and Infinity War, which I thought were pretty awesome, we are brought into this Marvel universe that we're not quite used to, as this black and white world comes to life, and it's an homage to sitcoms of the 1950s era, especially the Dick Van Dyke Show. Wanda and Vision are newlywed, and they've moved into this new town called Westview. And the episode is just your standard sitcom plot. Wanda and Vision know what the date is. She thinks it's their anniversary. He knows that it's for a dinner party with his boss and his wife. And hijinks ensue after that. Episode 1 really sticks very closely to the sitcom formula, really only breaking for small portions of time to let us know that there's something more going on here than we're led to believe. All in all, episode 1 is a very interesting pilot for a series because they're not really giving us much to go on. Like I said, it really sticks very closely to that sitcom format. We follow Vision at his job. We find Wanda talking with her neighbor Agnes about, things that she could do to spice up her anniversary date with Vision. And then we have a comedic setup where Vision's boss, Mr. Hart, and his wife, Mrs. Hart, come over, and Wanda has to cook a dinner when she was not prepared to cook a dinner for 4. And that's pretty much it. Besides that, there are a couple of things that I want to note that stood out to me. The first is we're introduced to a character named Agnes, Vision and Wanda's neighbor, played by Kathryn Hahn. And Agnes is a very interesting character because every time she says a line, it almost feels like it can be interpreted in a way that makes her seem like she knows more than she's letting on. And I know most people are assuming that Agnes is actually the character of Agatha Harkness, a comic book character from Marvel lore that has a huge history with Wanda especially, and ends up becoming her mentor later in life. And I have to say, these episodes kind of make me feel like that's the direction they're going with this. I don't think she's being set up to be the main villain of the series, but I think that she definitely is going to have a large part going forward. Next, we have a commercial for a Stark Tech Toaster Mate 2000. And this, to me, I feel like has a lot more going on than meets the eyes. Because one, it's a nod to not only Tony Stark, but his father Howard Stark and the Stark legacy. 2, it makes a repulsor noise whenever it activates when you're toasting toast. And there's also our first instance of color in the series, where we see a beeping red light as the camera zooms in, and the light blinks faster and faster, and the beat gets faster and faster. Now, I do think there's a lot more meaning to this than we're led on to believe originally. And I'll get into that next episode when we discuss our second commercial. But I will say that the toaster, I think, is also a nice reference to Tom King's run on the Vision, especially the issue where Vision and Wanda have kind of their solo issue, and Vision tells Wanda the joke about the toaster. I think that's a nice callback to that issue of the comic as well. Probably one of the most important scenes of episode 1 is at the dinner with the Harts, and Mr. Hart begins to push Vision and Wanda on their past. How long have they been together? When did they get married? When's their anniversary? And he insists, and he insists, and he insists. And the more he insists, the more unnerved Wanda becomes, until eventually Mr. Hart starts choking, and Wanda commands Vision to help him. But all the while, Mrs. Hart is saying, help him, with this eerie and disturbing look on her face. It's a very unsettling moment in an otherwise very comical sitcom-y episode. and it really makes us question what exactly is going on here. And as the episode ends, we peel back and see that Wanda and Vision are being watched in what appears to be a monitoring van that's full of the insignia for the organization SWORD. Now, in the comic books, SWORD is an organization very similar to S.H.I.E.L.D. And like S.H.I.E.L.D., SWORD is an acronym. The acronym is Sentient World Observation and Response Department. See, I think in the MCU they're going to change it around a little bit, though, especially in relation to WandaVision. I think it has more something to do along the lines with Sentient Weapon Observation and Report Department, which would make sense considering Wanda is a sentient weapon. Episode 2 of WandaVision is pretty much more of the same. However, we shift decades a little bit, where instead of the more Dick Van Dyke-ish style of television, we move into an era of multicam sitcoms like that of Bewitched, which this episode has a wonderful animated opening that is in the vein of the Bewitched opening. It is loaded with Easter eggs. Easter eggs that involve Wanda and Vision's comic book family. There's nods to the Grim Reaper, there's nods to Wonder Man, everyone's favorite cow, Bova. Even Agatha Harkness has a little nod as well. Also, there is a statue of the Wizard that we see, and all of these characters have some relation, one way or another, with Wanda or Vision, and they're somewhat of a surrogate family for them in the comics. And I thought that was a cute little nod. The premise of this second episode is pretty simple. Wanda and Vision are practicing their magic act that they're going to do at the fundraiser for their neighborhood. And it's interesting because the names they use, Glamour and Illusion, are both obscure Marvel comic book characters who have history with Wanda and the Vision. So I thought that was another nice little nod. During preparation for the fundraiser, Wanda and Agnes attend a meeting by the neighborhood's stuck-up, preppy housewife, Dottie. And it's during this preparation we're introduced to a character named Geraldine, who will most likely be very important to not only this series, but the MCU as a whole going forward. Also, we're given a bit of a scene towards the end where Wanda and Dottie get into a bit of a altercation, where Dottie accuses Wanda and her husband of being dangerous. After this, the radio that they're listening to is playing a song by the Beach Boys called Help Me Rhonda. And it morphs almost as if to say, help me Wanda, help me Wanda. And we hear a voice come from the radio that to me sounds like Agent Jimmy Woo from Ant-Man and the Wasp, played by Randall Park, that's saying, Wanda, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? And we're left wondering, what exactly could this ominous message mean? From there, more sitcom shenanigans ensue. The Vision goes to a neighborhood watch meeting where he bonds with the men in the neighborhood, and he literally gums up his work on a piece of big red gum, which is funny because that was the working title for WandaVision. Then he shows up to the talent show in whatever the Vision version of drunk is, because of this gum, and they have to perform with Vision acting all kinds of crazy. Wanda and Vision come home from the talent show as they speak on the couch, and they recite this line that was said multiple times throughout the episode, that the talent show was for the children. We get an instance of this at the meeting with Dottie, where all the women chant in sort of cultish unison, for the children, as Wanda and Vision say it when they get home as well, for the children. And it's after this that Wanda suddenly becomes miraculously pregnant. And we're left wondering what the hell just happened. But before we have a chance to even think about that, Wanda and Vision hear a loud noise coming from the outside. And we see this character that's only referred to as the Beekeeper, who's wearing a sword hazmat suit. And Wanda says no, as she reverses time and brings Vision and herself back into their living room. It's from then that we see the next episode will transition into the 1970s, and the series itself will be in glamorous Technicolor. Now, there's a lot of things that happen in episode 2 that we didn't get a chance to touch on. The commercial for the Strucker watch, the red and yellow helicopter, and a lot more. And we'll be covering that in our special WandaVision episodes 1 through 3 spoiler discussion. In the sake of saving time, I figured that another video would probably be better because there's a lot of very small, minute Easter eggs in these episodes that can each take a fairly large amount of time to deep dive in. I would have to say, all in all, I enjoyed these first 2 episodes. I liked the dynamic shift from what we're used to seeing in the MCU, and I think this is a refreshing take on the superhero genre. Unfortunately, while I love it, I think it could be very divisive for your non-comic book fans or just people who aren't fans of sitcom in general, who are expecting this to be something a lot closer to an Avengers movie. That being said, I think those people will be satiated later on in the series. I think this show would have been better tailored as a all-at-once release instead of a week-to-week release, because the slow burn that they're going for, while it may work for me, probably will not work for younger audiences or just the general populace who is really wanting this to be more traditional MCU. And I think that's why this was supposed to be the second Disney Plus series to come out, whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier was originally slated to be released first, and that show has more of the traditional Marvel action that audiences have come to expect. However, I'm very much enjoying the series, and I can't wait until episode 3. So until then, guys, catch you later.